Yay! Peace, family. Happy Friday, or shall I say Friday? Yay! Happy Friday, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Friday, October the 28th, 2022, and the time is 1:22 p.m. I know a lot of people are probably at work, but I just wanted to say happy Friday, Friday. I can imagine that you all have had a wonderful, wonderful week and you have something beautiful and glorious planned for the weekend. I just want to tell you all thank you so much for your love and your support. Thank you for comforting me and reassuring me. Peace, Royals, peace, family. Happy Holy Day. Happy Friday. I have something on my mind because you all know that Kanye West, or should I say the artist formerly known as Kanye West, now known as Ye, had made a statement a while ago that people are now bringing back up. And that statement is, or was, slavery is a choice. Now, a lot of you know who I am and what I stand for and what I think and know to be true. So I'll give you a second to guess where I stand on this situation or where I stand on this statement that slavery is a choice. Do you think I agree with that or disagree? And in the comment section, you tell me if you agree that slavery is a choice. Okay, hi. So before I give my answer, I just want to say Kanye West is a very controversial person because he thinks outside of the box. And what I feel that he's doing is trying to wake people up and liberate them or set them free in one sense, and also become a controversial figure or continue to be a controversial figure. Because remember, when you talk about the art of war and the law of 48 laws of power, you're talking about creating an image that's larger than life and even court controversy so that people can have your name in their mouth and they look up to you, whether they do it consciously or not. That's one of the laws of power. Create an image of yourself larger than life. Court scandal, court controversial. And this is something that number 45 is very good at, as well as Mr. Ye, also known as Kanye West. So they court scandal, they court controversy in order to get a message across. It's a law of power. So when Kanye West said slavery is a choice, what he is doing is he's trying to get people to ascend in consciousness and stop vibrating at such a low level where you give consent to things that are against you. So at some point, people need to say, I do not consent. I do not consent to a government controlling me. I do not consent to powers that are trying to influence my subconscious mind. I do not consent to people doing things to me to allow me or cause me to emit a psychic energy called loosh. Thank you, King James. Thank you. So, loosh is a psychic energy that comes from your being when somebody does something to you, whether they can. There could be a positive psychic energy when somebody does something to you to make you happy or joyous. But in this situation, we're talking about loosh energy being negative psychic energy that comes from low vibrational emotions like anger, fear, pain. And these are the things that Mr. Ye is talking about is you do not have to consent to people making you angry or having you to have fear so that you can emit this loosh or this energy that now goes out from your body into the environment or into your aura or into all the environment. And that psychic energy is what feeds negative beings. So he has explained why he made that statement. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful compliments. So when I think about Kanye West and or Mr. West, formerly known as Kanye West, I want you to consider the etymology of his name. So yay does mean you, but let's look deeper and look into the gematria calculation of his name. Gematria is a language that people high, I want to say the elite or Freemasons or people higher up study. So, or they use, it's a coded language. When you look at the gematria of yay, it means to come from God. It means presence of God. It means God is in the mind. And that's why Kanye West or Ye wrote a song and he said, I am God. His name, Ye, comes from God, presence of God. God is in the mind. That is what Ye means. Okay, so it reminds me of the scripture that says, Ye are gods. People get offended by that, but it is a scripture where even Christ, whether you consider him a real man, a real being, or a high state of consciousness, said, know ye not that ye are gods? So when people got offended with Mr. Ye for saying, I am God, they did not understand and overstand the higher message that since you came from the creator, you are the essence of God. You are God. It's time to ascend in consciousness so that when anybody does something to you or a situation presents itself to you, you can remember that you are God. You are created by the universal creative consciousness. You are made in the image of the creative consciousness. You came from that creative consciousness. Therefore, you are God. And when you are God, nothing and no man can hold you in chains. Nothing and no man or person or situation can keep you enslaved. Now, I want to talk to you about a book, a very powerful book called Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning was written by a gentleman by the name of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a German uh, psychologist, professor of psychology and neurology, who was held in an what's it called? A concentration camp, Auschwitz concentration camp during World War II. Viktor Frankl was abused. He was beaten. He was frozen. He was enchained. He was mutilated. His mother was killed. His father was killed. His brother was killed in a concentration camp right where he was. And in the midst of seeing all of this abuse and being mutilated himself, caused to suffer, frozen nearly to death, starved almost to death, Viktor Frankl said, I will live. And what he did is he recorded his pain, he recorded his suffering, and he came to understand that when you have a sense of purpose, when you have a sense of why are you here? Why did you come? Why are you alive? That sense of purpose, your will to live, will cause you to ascend beyond anybody's perceived or real enslavement of you. And so, what Viktor Frankl said was he noticed there were two types of people who were in the concentration camp. There were those that lost faith and those that lost hope, those who didn't have a why, a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, and had given up. Those are the people who died in the middle of a concentration camp. But then he noticed there was on this side another type of slave, another type of person who was put in chains against their will, another type of being who was beaten, mutilated, and starved and frozen. And that was the type of person or who had a will to live. They had a why. They had a purpose. They had a meaning. When you have a why, then you can ascend beyond any circumstance that comes against you. And those, my darlings, are the people that Viktor Frankl said lived even though they were tortured. So again, Viktor Frankl, this gentleman who was in a camp against his will, who was mutilated, even burned, and had his family members killed in his presence, said, what I know is that I have a sense of purpose, that I've been called to come here for a reason. And so he envisioned himself giving lectures. He envisioned himself giving talks and discussions that will free people, that will liberate them, that will break the chains from their minds, that will cause the shackles, both real and imagined, to automatically be dispersed and broken asunder. And when Viktor Frankl saw himself, even in the middle of being abused, mutilated, and scorned, and spit on, and harmed, when he saw himself giving those lectures, he felt a sense of freedom, even in the middle of slavery. And that freedom, he says, is what caused him to live and eventually come out of those concentration camps. So, my darlings, is slavery a choice? That's up to you. You tell me. Is slavery a choice for you? Okay, let's look deeper into what Viktor Frankl said. He said, you can find meaning in the middle of suffering. He said, when you ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? When you ask yourself, what is it that the universe or God or my highest self is asking of me in the middle of suffering, then you will find meaning in the suffering that will cause you to ascend that suffering and break free. So even if people stay in chain and they stay in a situation of enslavement, when you have internal freedom, when you have an internal reason for living, you can even consider yourself free in that situation. But please know that while you're in chain or in bounds or in binds, you can eventually walk up out of there. Let's see what else he says about choice. He said, find meaning in suffering. He who has a why to live can beat almost any situation or circumstances. Now, I looked at yay, and then I said, so yay, when you look at the gematria calculator, says, I come from God, or comes from God, or presence of God, or God is in the mind. My darlings, your mind is very powerful. Look at how Viktor Frankl was able to ascend in consciousness and see himself on the other side and therefore walk out of freedom. Now, some people will have real chains, and then some people will have imagined chains. I have a good friend, somebody that I was in a relationship with, named Thomas Mason, in my former and years ago, whom I love. You know, he's moved on. He has a beautiful family. But Brother Deacon Thomas Mason preached a message. He's from the House of God, or now the church is called Grace Temple in Louisville, Kentucky. Deacon Mason preached a message, and he said, pick up your leg and be free. And in the message, he said, when a zookeeper takes an elephant, he will take an elephant and chain his leg and put a chain around his leg. And then he will take that chain and then put it inside the ground. Okay. And then he will put a fence around that elephant. He will feed the elephant while he's in chain. He will train the elephant while he's in chains. He will keep that fence there day after day after day, so that the elephant becomes used to his enslavement and it becomes his reality. Then what happens over time is they will take the fence away from around the elephant, remove the shackles from the elephant feet, and or foot or feet, and let the elephant stay in that area and still feed him, still talk to him, still train him. And because the elephant has been so conditioned in his mind that he is a slave, that even when the fence has been removed, even when the chains have been removed, that elephant will stay there within that environment or that encampment because he still thinks he is a slave. Brothers and sisters, family members, my loves, what I'm telling you today is you do not have to remain enslaved, and neither do you have to keep a slavery mentality. Ye once called himself Jesus. And what that meant is it means to triumph. It means I'm a warrior. It means wisdom of God when you put his name in the gematria calculator. So what Mr. Ye is trying to communicate is the same thing we talk about over here on this channel. You do not have to consent to your enslavement. You can consent to your joy, consent to your peace, consent to your freedom, consent to your victory, and anything that's the antithesis of your love, joy, peace, freedom, and victory, you do not consent to it. So it doesn't even matter if somebody tells you something is mandatory. You have to first know that you are free, that you have a freedom of choice, that you have a free will, and then you have to say, I will only consent to those things that are conducive to my joy. Because a mandate or something mandatory is only a suggestion. Now we're hearing stories, we're hearing that we might be back in a lockdown soon. I don't know if that's true or not. Some people are saying that that's a rumor, but we've already been in a lockdown. And when we were in a lockdown in 2020, some people were in despair. Some people felt that like they just gave up. Some people lost hope. But in the middle of a lockdown, when people couldn't even be around their family members and they could not go to work because the jobs were shut down, they didn't say, I can't work. I'm talking about people who realized they had a choice and a free will and thought beyond what the mainstream media said or beyond what everybody else thought. These people said, it's not that I can't work, but I'm going to ask myself, how can I? So they created opportunities for themselves. And they started businesses. They started jobs. They started to barter. They did all types of things. Or they got quiet within themselves and they said, you know what? This might be a time of suffering, but I'm going to ask myself, what is my purpose? And I'm going to do something great, but maybe I needed this time to be quiet, to sit within myself and see what is it that the creator of asking of me? What is it that this situation is asking of me? Okay, because they might have said that I had to stay in and I may never get out, or I don't know when I'm going to get out and I can't work, but I'm asking myself, how can I work? How can I survive? How can I thrive? Right after that, they gave us mandates that you had to take something foreign in your body. Some people chose to do it, and we respect that. We honor that because they were where they are and they needed that for themselves. It was their decision, it was their free will, it was their choice. Then you had those that said, no, I will not take a foreign entity or foreign substance in my body because a mandate is a suggestion. Something that's mandatory only becomes binding when you consent to it, when you agree to it, when you do it. That is what a mandatory is. A mandatory statement or a mandate is. It's not lawful. So it's not always that you have to do something. You must do something. Okay, you don't have to be a slave. No, you do not. Where do I stand on that statement that slavery is a choice? It's up to you. For me, it would be a choice, and I choose not to be a slave. Okay, now Some people, thank you, will say, well, what about chattel slaves, Dr. Pruitt? You're talking against your ancestors. You're talking against certain people. We all have experience as human beings, no matter what color, skin complexion, nationality. We all have experienced some form of slavery, whether it's chattel, emotional, psychological, financial, etc. Now, this is a statement that I'm going to make that is not popular. Some people were chattel slaves, yes, but some people chose not to be a slave. They chose death. They chose to run away. They chose sacrificing themselves or the death of their family members. They chose something other than to be enchained or something other than to be a chattel slave. Death is a choice. Putting your life on the line is a choice. Slavery is a choice. You can choose to be a slave, or you can choose, thank you, who is that? Cheryl Ann, or you can choose to be sovereign. You can choose to have reign, Reareign, over. That's what sov, sove, sov. You can choose to have reign over your life, or you can choose to not have reign over your life. So today, what I'm asking you to do is to think beyond the programming of the mainstream media. Think beyond the programming of history books and beyond films that will produce slave movie after slave movie after slave movie, because what they're doing is they're trying to make you forget that you're sovereign. They're trying to make you forget that you have reign and rule over your life. They're trying to make you forget that you are God. Yay, Dr. Pruitt and you all and all of your people who think from a high vibrational standpoint, we're reminding you that you are God and that you have a choice to ascend beyond the programming. So they'll put these messages in your subconscious mind because your subconscious actually controls your behavior. So 90 to 95% of your behavior comes from or is motivated by your subconscious mind. So if you're tired of being hopeless and you desire to be hopeful, then continue to do things to program your subconscious mind. Listen to positive messages, listen to high vibrational music, listen to people who spread joy and love and hope. If you desire to keep your vibrations high so that your subconscious, which controls your behavior, is positive, go out in nature because nature is God, right? It's the law of oneness. We are all one. We are all God. To this creative source, we will return. From the creative source, we have come. Everything is God. So if you need your vibrations to raise, if you need your program, your subconscious mind to be programmed positively, then walk in nature. Go visit Yemiya, the goddess of the sea. Walk by the ocean. Smell some flowers. Do these things. Listen to positive affirmations. Record yourself talking about how you are God, how you are amazing, how you are lovely, how you are great, how you are powerful, how you are magnificent. Listen to and record yourself speaking positive affirmations, and those will get into your subconscious mind and raise your vibrations. So I wanted to talk about something else. Oh, and I'm going to end with this. You have a freedom of choice. Is slavery a choice? That is up for you to decide. Is slavery a choice to you? Cheryl Ann says, bring it back to 0 point. God, be a walking permission slip for others to do the same. Thank you for that. So let's look at the word choice. So sometimes when you want to look at, you desire to look at somebody's, what they're saying to you, look at the etymology or the origin of the word. My friends, check out Reverend Ike's lectures. Yes, on YouTube. Reverend Ike is very powerful. Thank you for that. Let's look at the etymology of the word choice. It means to distinguish. It means to discern, to perceive, and free will. So when somebody says you have a choice to be a slave or a choice not to, then even if you are in chains, use your free will to either figure out a way how to come out of that, or to even, and it sounds crazy, have a sense of purpose and meaning while you're going through the suffering, just like Viktor Frankl. You do have a free will. So I looked up will, and the etymology of will is mind, determination, purpose. We're going back to that word purpose. Will is about purpose. It also means determination, joy, and delight. Will means joy and delight. So what Viktor Frankl told us is, even while he was in the middle of a concentration camp and saw death all around him, he's not saying you're going to be happy and you're going to be elated that people die. No, what he is saying is you have a will, you have a choice to either stay enslaved in your mind and give up hope, or you have a will to discern that God has given you a purpose. God has given you a choice. God has given you a sense of why. So you can use that to liberate yourself even in the middle of being in chain. And that liberation will manifest and materialize into a literal liberation, a literal freedom, a literal walking out of your circumstance or your situation. So is slavery a choice? That's up to you, and that's up to me. For me, slavery is not a choice. I have a will to live. I have a sense of purpose, and my purpose is to liberate humanity. I've known that most of my life, and I do my purpose well. What is your purpose? What is your why? What is your reason? Think about that. Meditate upon that and do something about that. This is why on this channel we consistently spread hope. People have said, stop spreading hopium, but the opposite or antithesis of hope is despair, and we've had enough of that. Despair causes our vibrations to be low, but joy and hope and a sense of why, and having a sense of being, and having a sense of knowing that you came for a purpose, for an express reason, raises your vibrations. Okay, so family members, you will have people who will come online who maybe speak against the mainstream media, speak against the status quo. Those people, happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday to Q. Right. October 28th, 2017 is when Q first came online to disseminate information and intel to let us know that the deep state was being dismantled. So this is Q's birthday. Happy birthday, Q. So wonderful message during Q's birthday. Family members, ask yourself, what is your purpose and why are you here? Choose to be liberated. This is something else that Viktor Frankl said. He said, for some people, there's a difference between freedom and liberation. And he said, for some people, until their chains are off their feet, and they walk up out of slavery, they're still enslaved. But he said, but I had a sense of freedom even while I was in chains. So family members, this is my conclusion. I just desire to keep you encouraged. Consider reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, because that book will raise your vibrations and help you to look for your sense of purpose and your meaning and define your purpose on life. And it will raise your vibrations and help you to manifest the reality that you desire and deserve. Before I leave, family, is there anyone who have questions? I'm going to wrap up and conclude and tell you all that I love you. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I love you so much. And this is why I come to the platform to speak to you and to inspire you and to bring you joy and hope and love and peace and all those things. And also so that we can communicate with each other and establish a sense of community and establish our family members, because during this time we are all finding each other, we're remembering that we're soul family, and we're connecting with each other so that we can help each other in this new reality. Peace, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I know I'm trusting that I've said something to raise your vibrations and cause you to have the inspiration and the joy that you need to create the beautiful, magnificent, amazing reality that you desire and deserve. Peace. I love you. Make this a great day. Bye bye.